Good afternoon and hello, folks. Welcome to another Flycast Partners webinar. Today, we are going to address the topic of surviving a security audit by Bobby McCullough. Now, Bobby has been with Flycast Partners for quite some time now, and he has decades, and I hate to show what his age is, but he has over 2 decades selling, implementing, and supporting a variety of solutions, including IT service, operations, and financial management, including budgeting, forecasting, allocating rebill, accounts receivable, utilization management, IT asset management, infrastructure management, change management, incident management, expense management, and integration, as well as IT operations analytics. He has configured demonstration systems using JSON file ingestion through application API in Python, and has been a value add in multiple product engagements, providing overall solution views and clarity. His extensive experience in lean methodologies and proven record of designing and implementing more efficient and cost-effective procedures and technologies is invaluable. Before we get started, Bobby, it looks like we've still got quite a few folks trying to join us now. We have quite the audience today, everywhere from California and New York. We've even got somebody from Hawaii on here today. I want to welcome you folks. Let me introduce Flycast Partners. We're here to deliver a seriously amazing IT experience. We are founded and staffed by the personnel that have many years of experience in the IT space. We took the best ideas, experiences, added the best components necessary to grow and become a leading value-added reseller in the North American IT market. We offer best-in-class implementation services and training in IT service management, IT asset management, IT operations management, enterprise service management, and workload automation spaces, all using ITIL best practice. Our professional services team can easily scale up or down to meet the IT needs of any customer, regardless of your size, complexity, or budgetary restrictions. We offer implementation services both on-site and remote, as well as training to reinforce your company's long-term IT success. Ongoing remote administration support service offerings will enable your organization to focus on your normal day-to-day operations, saving you both precious time and money. Feel free to reach out to us directly at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, or visit us on our website. And we have IT experts to answer your questions live Monday through Friday during normal business hours in that chat box down in the right-hand corner. This is just one of many weekly webinars that we offer here at Flycast Partners. So if you'll go to our website, you can go and check out any upcoming webinars that we have coming that you might be interested, or some of your coworkers might be interested in. You could actually go in and find out more about our organization, or look at new technologies or different technologies that may benefit your organization. I encourage you to download white papers and data sheets and anything else that you feel may actually be a benefit to your organization. Now, during today's presentation, we will take questions and answers in the GoToWebinar platform in the Q&A section. Bobby will answer as many as he can during our presentation today during the time allocated. With that being said, I am going to turn this presentation over to the man of the hour, Bobby.
Thank you, Rich, very much for that introduction, I think. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. This is Bobby McCullough. Today, we're gonna talk a bit about surviving a security audit, and a little bit about what that looks like and what you can expect from that. Now, I should disclose before I start here that if you listen closely in the introduction, security is really not in my background. This is a new area that I've picked up here at Flycast, and so we're learning together here a little bit. But I'll be glad to take any questions that you have, and if there's something I can't answer, I do have resources where I can get those answers. So please feel free to send those questions over in the tool there if you have any. So just starting out here, security in the news. I'm sure that there's a reason you guys are here on the call today. The security is in the news. It's always in the news. Things like phishing scams against local governments and the costs, operating systems that are end-of-lifing, data breaches and their costs, data breaches, more data breaches, and more data breaches. And really, those are really the key to, or one of the focus areas for security is the cost that's associated with those data breaches, because that cost is not just hard. There's soft costs associated with a data breach, loss of respect in the industry, and loss of respect with your customers. So security is very vital, very important to each of us. And most of us, if your organization hasn't gone through a security audit, you're going to go through one, or should be going through one. So let's talk a bit about what happens in a security audit. What is it? So it starts out. You've got either an internal or an external security auditor, and we're going to go through each of these items individually. But you've got a security auditor who their job is to come in and examine your environment top to bottom, and use that to develop a report or a score for your security position. This is also going to include employee interviews. So they're going to want to talk to you about what you do, what you have access to, what you don't have access to, how you do your work, the defined processes around security, and how you implement those processes. Access controls, so how people can get in to use systems, use applications. What level of access do they have? Do you have local administrators? All those type of things. Physical access to hardware is a part of it as well. And then vulnerability scans. And this is these two areas here: access controls and vulnerability scans. Those are really the big areas where Flycast is able to help. And then finally, these are normally going to happen annually. They're going to happen every year and be used to, maybe your insurance, your corporate insurance may need to know what that security position is. Finance from bankers that might be financing some type of endeavor in your organization. They may need to know that security position as well. So that's going to be an annual activity that's going to happen. And so why do these security assessments matter? What's, but beyond those two examples of who's going to use these? Well, first, your assessment is going to be used to help you justify financial expenditures to protect the organization. So you've got to be able to point out where you have security risks, and what the cost, what the exposure is related to those risks. So then you can justify the costs that's related to that. Security assessment also allows you to streamline your IT department productivity, so that you're working toward a goal, a common goal, a common set of activities to help increase and promote that security position. You're going to help assessment helps break down silos and barriers between management and staff, as well as between business units, and it gets the security people who their job is generally to lock things down. It has that group talking with the actual users who need to do things, who are going to be doing everything they can to get around those barriers to get their work done. So it breaks down those silos and barriers so that they can enable communication. A self-review. So once a security assessment has taken place, it allows you then to have a baseline to understand what your security position is going forward. And as you do intermediate assessments yourself, you're able to compare those against that baseline and understand where you are and where you might need to be coming into that annual risk assessment. And then finally, open reporting across your organization. So that's key, obviously, to breaking down those barriers, but letting everyone know where you are in your security position, letting them know, we've got some things that we're going to be locking down, things are going to be changing. Being open and honest about those things helps organizations, helps business units within your organization really understand why things are changing, why they may be losing some type of access that they had. So that open reporting is key to communication and understanding. So let's break down a little bit about what happens within that security audit. So we started out with the auditor. So what does the auditor review do? So they're going to review your operations, what's happening within your organization, how what processes are defined, and how those processes are communicated, and then how those processes are implemented. Financial reporting, so that there's a financial component here with security as well, and the auditor will be integral in working on that financial reporting with those particular business units. Compliance. Most organizations have some type of compliance rules, whether it's maybe just idle best practices, all the way to government requirements and maybe SEC requirements as well. So compliance is something they're going to be focused on. And while all these areas may seem segregated, operations, reporting, and compliance, they really intersect with the government compliance requirements around things like SOX and SOC audits, and ensuring that your organization has a proper security position and being able to publish that either to shareholders or to customers. So employee interviews, this is really simple. They're going to interview guys to understand, what are the processes and protocols within your organization. Do you have knowledge of those access protocols and processes? Do you have knowledge of monitoring protocols and processes? How is the organization monitoring for security and intrusions? What are you doing with that monitoring data? What are the protocols for handling it? Adherence to the protocols and processes. So, as I mentioned before, ensuring that protocols and processes are defined and in place, but also that those are communicated appropriately to the members of your organization that need to know those, as well as their adherence to those protocols and processes. And then, understanding any risks that the people on the front lines might have identified. It's easy enough for an auditor maybe to come in and talk to a manager about things, but an executive about things, but they're not necessarily on the front lines. And so this is where some of those risks might be identified during those employee interviews. And then finally, what remediation was performed on those risks, and the processes and protocols around that remediation. Physical access to the hardware, we're not going to spend any time here. Flycast really, we have no solutions really in this area, but this is where they'll want to understand how you're able to physically access hardware itself. Where is it located? Is it behind a secure doorway? Is there no other access to that equipment? And that level of security varies depending on the type of business that your organization might be involved in. Access controls. Now, this is an area, I say the last couple of areas for really where Flycast can best help you. And so access controls is really one of the areas that through Avanti security controls, we're able to provide you the ability to manage administrative privileges, remote access privileges, installation privileges, as well as monitoring access of system as well. So, it's not a tool that you necessarily go in and we got to lock everything down. It's really designed to come in and monitor your environment so that you can understand how things are being accessed, how you can understand the impact of removing potential privileges that might be out there, and how that's going to impact your business. So privilege management for access for applications. that really just determines who can run an application, who can run it with administrative privileges. Maybe you need to restrict rights on a particular application. Maybe you need to elevate it at a particular time, as well as installing applications. Who has permissions to install applications. So Avanti Security Controls has some really nice functionality around that, where I've got a concept of a trusted installer. We're going to have a few minutes here at the end where I'll jump over and show you this in the tool itself, but a concept of a trusted installer. So if Bobby, as a user of his desktop, is not defined in the access management solution as a trusted installer, anything that I happen to maybe copy onto my desktop, I'm not able to run that. It limits anything to be installed by particular people, and you're not able to run anything unless it's installed by that trusted installer. So really nice features for access, ability to time, the ability to elevate permissions, so that your users don't have to have administrative permissions day in and day out. They just have administrative permissions when they need to be elevated to perform a particular task. And different types, the ability to do self-elevation, where the system says, do you need administrative privileges? And I'm defined in the system as someone who can elevate myself. So this allows me to get those privileges when I need them, so that I can run an application. It makes it easy for administrators to remove those rights in the environment, but then allow specific users that are elevated at particular times when they need them. And now this actually supports all file types, so it's not just executables, batches, commands, scripts, shell scripts, installers, and things like that. All of that's going to be supported in the solution today. Vulnerability scans, easy for you to say. So really this sort of consists of three areas in the solution: the discovery of assets, both physical and virtual environments, and then understanding where you are, your vulnerability position as far as operating systems and third-party applications are concerned. And so within the solution, again, it starts with discovery. So the system can do complete asset discovery of your hardware, software, and BIOS. It's everything you need to know to perform patching on your operating systems, as well as third-party applications as well. Maybe your organization has a particular application that's maybe specific to your industry, and it's not really widely used. You're able to bring in even your own patching for those third-party applications that might not be included in the Avanti catalog. We can do this through an agent or agentless. As far as when you need one or the other, the question is, does it reside on your network, or is it a remote device? If it's a remote device, we can do it with an agent. If it's sitting on your network, we can easily do it agentlessly. Addressing physical, virtual servers and workstations, Linux, VMware. So your entire environment, we're going to be able to discover it and patch it. Avanti has one of the largest patching libraries available, and very diverse and very timely on the releases as well. And then finally, with patching a CVE import, that's something that happens during a security audit, where maybe the auditor has their own tool for auditing your system, and then that produces a CVE, common vulnerability and exploits. And this is something that you can, if you get that, you can import that in to the Avanti system and compare that against the data from your own security solution, and use that to help define updates, so that you're able to comply with that particular security audit. And then automation, it's not just enough to be able to supply OS and third-party patches. Along with those patching, there's some requirements, maybe around scheduling on when those patches occur, or maybe things like rebooting machines or restarting processes or applications after that patching has occurred. You're able to define that in the system. So really, your administrators are able to really automate that patch deployment all the way from scan to deployment, and then a complete API for integration. So if there's other automation that you need to perform beyond maybe scripting or kicking off an executable, you're able to use that API to integrate with the solution to perform those additional tasks. Full reporting and with customizable options. So there's lots of out-of-the-box reporting that's available in the system. Very easy to. We use the word customize. Really, it's configurable options. You really don't need to be a report expert to go in and create those. And this is an example of an out-of-the-box reporting option that's available in the system, an executive summary, so that C-suite understands where you are in your patch, in your security position, and where you may have problems, or where they're likely to have you come to them to ask for additional budget money for solving a security hole that might be uncovered. Third-party updates can really be troublesome. There are a lot of solutions out there really just cover OS. I think Microsoft recently brought in third-party updates to one of theirs, but it still has the problems that it has. So you've got control over these third-party updates. Do we want to just stress critical or important, or both? How important is it for us to patch these, and which ones do we want? So you're going to have control over that, so that you're not just tossing everything out there. You're able to filter that, limit that, so that it's just the ones that you want. And you guys know that these third-party updates, sometimes they come along with baggage. They're kind of like Cousin Eddie coming over at Christmas time, and they come along with a little baggage here. So you can actually control this as well, so that if you want to inhibit this, you don't want to install this add-on or whatever it is, you're able to control that through these updates as well. And the bulletins are going to come out regularly. You're going to get Microsoft's update Wednesday. Update Tuesday, and then we've got updates on Wednesday and Friday as well. 0-day updates come out immediately as soon as they're tested. So let's take a minute and jump over into the tools. So this is our Avanti security controls solution, and this just governs patch management as well as application control. And so here I can come in and look at my machine. This is where it can discover my environment, and if I pick one of these machines, I can understand where I am in my patch management of that machine. Everything is color coded, so what needs my attention can get my attention. And notice how the color here is related to that score. So I know both operating systems as well as third-party patches that might be needed here for this machine. I can look at my history for this machine as well. So if I go back here, yeah, it's a little slow right now. Sorry, guys. I can go through my deployment history here and understand what's happened with that machine. If this machine is Linux, that actually appears in a separate tab from the Windows patches as well as its deployment history. But I want to show you this from the discovery perspective. So this is where I can come in and I can understand a bit about that machine. What's its serial number? Is it powered on? some various aspects of it, as well as the software that's installed on that machine as well. And that's really the focus. Minimal hardware information. The real focus here is the software, everything that's loaded there. So I've got the ability to create these machine groups, and a machine group is just a filter on a collection of machines in your environment. And so several ways these can be accessed or collected together to put into the group, and then I'm able to define policies to run against these machines. So the patch templates, where I can define what applications are going to be patched, what level of security patches are we looking for, how are we going to apply this? Are we going to just apply just missing and installed? What's our process for installing within this particular template, as well as software? Are there software we want to distribute and load on this particular machine group? So lots of ways to define those groups, and then multiple options within those scan templates that make it easy for you to have a set of templates maybe for development, a set of templates for the finance department, a set of templates for the sales department. So it's very easy for you to manage those machines appropriately. And now that was the patch management side. But we've also got the application control side, and this is really neat. This is where you can go in and tell the system, how, who can edit. Who can execute, who has the permission to execute on the machines, and as well as who has the permission to install. And that's where they use the concept of trusted installer, and anything that is on the machine that was not installed by trusted installer. For instance, a virus that maybe copies Notepad to the desktop, trying to prompt you to kick it off. The system would lock that down and wouldn't allow that to execute if that got behind. But rule sets that you're able to define in these configurations really allow you to expand or limit the ability to access, or the limits. So it works from both a blacklist and a whitelist perspective. So within these templates, you're able to find they're able to do all of this and they're able to do none of this, and so opening up that area in the middle and really making it widely configurable within your organization. So Rich, we're kind of at the bottom of the hour. I don't know if we had any questions yet.
I'm not seeing any questions at the time. I don't see anything chat or Q&A, but folks, if you have a question, now's the time to type it in. Bobby would be happy to answer anything he can. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. I stand corrected. Here's a question right here. What version of Avanti LAN Desk is that? This comes from Keith.
That's a great question. So it's waiting to load here. 2019.2, and there's a sub version there if you'd like to see it.
Okay, hopefully that answered your question, Keith. If you have any follow-up, go ahead and reach out. If anyone else has a question, now's the time to go ahead and type it. We'll be happy to answer as many questions as you're willing to give us. We do appreciate all of you attending today. I mean, we had a very, very big turnout for today's webinar, and I hope that everyone was able to get what they were looking for out of this. Any other questions? It doesn't look like we have any at this time. Did you have anything more that you wanted to cover, Bobby?
I just wanted to add that this patching and application control are available standalone like this, either together or individually, but they're also available in Avanti's Endpoint Manager as well. Endpoint Manager has a much more robust hardware discovery solution, and so basically you get everything that you see here, as well as additional asset management capabilities over in the endpoint management solution.
And John wants to know what the actual name of the software is that you were showing.
Avanti Security Controls.
Any other questions, folks? Bobby would be happy to answer for you. Thanks again for joining us for today's webinar. Bobby, thank you for the presentation as we all learn together about security. It's very much appreciated. And audience, I know that you all have busy days. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. Should you have any additional questions that you didn't want, oh, John wants to know how much it is. You know what, John? We'd be more than happy to get you set up with it and how the licensing is done. John, we'd be happy to go ahead and get you set up with somebody who can answer those questions for you. So I do have your email address. What we'll do is we'll have someone go ahead and reach out to you and try to get those answers for you. No problem at all, John. You're welcome. With that being said, folks, thank you for giving us your time today, and enjoy the rest of your week until our next webinar.
Thank you, guys.